Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So today we are going to be talking about the state of Arizona because the primaries are going to be coming up in less than a month, and the neocons and the RINOs and the Republican establishment are doing everything that they possibly can do to stop the solid candidates in this race in both the Senate election and the gubernatorial election. Obviously, I feel a lot more confident about Blake Masters and his incoming victory in the Senate election. However, when it comes to the governor's election, while I still believe Kari Lake is favored and will win at the end of the day, there are some problems that are arising. There is collusion. You have candidates dropping out to help each other. All the establishment is doing everything they possibly can do to support the worst, weakest candidates in both of these races. So we're going to dive into it because it's very important, because this country is absolutely in shambles, and we need people that are going to fix it, people that are going to restore American greatness. We're not great right now. Gas is $7 a gallon, and a 10-year-old Honda Civic will set you back $20,000, and rent is $2,000 a month minimum. Welcome to 8.6 inflation, and it doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon. So what can you do? You can try trading stocks or buying mutual funds, but returns are sinking fast. You'd have to make at least 10% with charges just to break even. And if you're looking at retiring comfortably, well, they're not even options. You might have heard about gold IRAs though, but you may not know that much about them. That's why Noble Gold has a team of experts at the other end of the phone that'll set you straight on what you can and can't do to get yourself to financial safety again. And if you're quick, they're giving away an incredible 10th ounce American Eagle gold-proof coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k rollover. You cannot go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That is noblegoldinvestments.com. So this Senate election, and we're going to talk a little bit about this because this is also important. And honestly, I believe that Blake Masters is going to be the front runner here. I think a lot of people at this point would traditionally agree with that. He had a very similar trajectory to what we saw in Ohio with his counterpart, J.D. Vance. They both worked for the Teal Foundation. J.D. Vance was that candidate. He had a lot to prove. Blake Masters supported Trump since he came down the escalator. J.D. Vance took him a little bit too long to get on board, even though he's been fairly solid on the issues for the past 3 years, has been completely spotless. But beyond that point, Blake Masters had a similar trajectory. He started off with relatively low name recognition, probably even lower than what J.D. Vance had in Ohio. They made a movie about J.D. Vance. They didn't make a movie about Blake Masters. Put that in perspective. But Blake Masters is somebody who, started off as kind of like this outsider businessman, didn't have a lot of name recognition, had a lot of funding he wasn't really using, gained a lot of traction on the internet, then started to get Trump's attention. Trump gave Mark Brnovich, who was a loser, a fat RINO loser, how many opportunities to do something regarding election integrity, and he didn't do it. He is a coward. He is a pushover, a garbage attorney general. And as a result, Brnovich got completely shafted from the Trump endorsement. Trump is in the process of suing Mark Brnovich because Mark Brnovich keeps trying to use his name and his likeness to try and court voters. And these are the same people that support Brnovich will say Trump's influence in the party is dying. Well, Mark Brnovich clearly doesn't understand that if he's still trying to get Trump's approval. But beyond that point, you also have Jim Layman, who is another loser. He is somebody who ran as an outsider, but also is now attacking Blake Masters like he's a leftist. If you watch his attack lines on Blake Masters, he's doing everything possible to, sensationalize some of the more controversial things that Blake Masters said, the same way that the lying journalists on the left do. He's no different than them. And as a result, he's falling in the polls because literally everybody is condemning him for it on the right, besides the people that just have Masters or Trump derangement syndrome at this point. And even Rick Grinnell, dropped his endorsement to Masters. And Rick Grinnell is somebody who is cringe, to be honest, one could say. And even he had enough. So looking at it, and you look at the recent polling, Blake Masters is ahead in most recent polling, especially post the Trump endorsement there. The last two polls, Trafalgar released a poll. It had Blake Masters up by 5. And then another poll was released from PPP that had Blake Masters up by 14 points. It doesn't exactly seem as if Blake Masters is going to lose. Trump's going to come down and do some rallies for him. I think it's a very similar race to Ohio. I think Lehman is more comparable to Dolan. I think Brnovich is more comparable to Mandel. And as a result, Blake Masters is that Vance character that is going to end up, in my opinion, running away with the nomination. I think he's going to get in the mid-30s. I think Brnovich and Lehman will both be down in the mid-20s when it's all said and done, when all of the undecided voters are allocated. But Masters is running a very good campaign. He's talking about all of the right issues. He is, mainstreaming them in a way that appeals to the primary electorate everywhere in Arizona, whether you're in, if you look at the map here, whether you are in Maricopa County, which is the largest population center, or whether you're in Yuma. Again, the border is a very big issue down here. Masters is somebody that's going to be running up the margins in those, Trumpian areas of Arizona, which do exist, and everybody pretends like they don't exist, but they do. If Maricopa County was divided into 4 counties, I think a lot of the doomers surrounding Arizona would at least quiet down a little bit, because Maricopa County, even though it's moved left a little bit, it's not entirely like a uniform trend. But beyond that point, the Senate election is not the only election. We understand that Blake Masters is the front runner. Even before he got the Trump endorsement, he was polling fairly well. Fabrizio Lee got the Ohio race down point. They had him ahead in May. Data Orbital's not bad, but in their most recent poll, that was the last poll that had Lehman up, but Masters still was in the margin of error with a lot of undecideds, and that was before or just right after, I believe, the Trump endorsement took place. It really didn't have that much of an impact on this poll just yet. And even so, from about a month or two before that, Masters gained about 5 to 10%, and Lehman lost around 6% or so, and Brnovich lost. So that should tell you everything that you need to know. A lot of the undecided so far have been going to Masters, but it's not just this race. We understand they're going to be pulling out all the stops on Masters, and it's not going to exactly work, even though they'll pour the money into it. Masters has mega donors of his own, which would benefit him, whether you really trust or like Peter Thiel or not. I don't really fully trust the guy. Sometimes he will endorse candidates that are meh. However, he's endorsed a lot of good candidates. He funded Trump back in the 2016 primary. He has funded Vance and Masters, and they've been on point so far in terms of messaging and rhetoric. And we're going to see what happens moving forward. But Masters is a great guy. He's going to be a great senator for sure. But he's going to counter that effectively. However, on the governor's side, it's a little bit different. Now, Kari Lake is still the front runner. Don't get me wrong, but you have this primary. And Matt Salmon dropped out of the race just before early voting started. And as a result, he has dropped out and has endorsed Karen Taylor Robinson, a former Bush official, legacy Republican, establishment through and through, has all the donor money, and people are going to try to position her like she's the good candidate in this race, like she's the solid candidate. She's not even electable. Even compared to Kari Lake, she's really not electable. She's not likable whatsoever. If you could find a Republican equivalent to Katie Hobbs, it would probably be Karen Taylor Robinson, because she's just that awful. I mean, you see her in the debate. She has no charisma. She's like fake Lake, fake Lake, fake Lake. And it's like, if you're so concerned about who is exactly fake, you probably need to look in the mirror, Karen, because it's you. It's not Kari Lake. Kari Lake is somebody that is being under fire for a wide variety of things. People will say, oh, she's not a real conservative because in 2008 she voted for Obama over McCain. And I'm like, okay. Well, if you vote for McCain, are you really a true conservative? That's another question. I mean, I personally probably wouldn't have voted for either one of those people, but the reason why she did it was completely valid. She said Bush was gutting middle America and engaging in these endless foreign wars that were awful. And then when Obama ended up doing the same thing, she switched her vote and was an early supporter of Trump back in 2016. I don't exactly see what the problem is there. If anything, it shows that she's just more of a real human being, regardless of who she voted for in 2008. And the other thing is that she had a party back in 2010 or something, and had a performer there that happened to be a drag queen who's like now a transgender left-wing activist or something like that. And it's like, that is actually kind of cringe to some extent. She would not do that today. I mean, Trump kissed Rudy Giuliani in drag back in 2000. I don't know if that's necessarily something that really should have held back his 2016 campaign. But we understand that. But beyond that point, it was just a skit or whatever. It's stupid. It's dumb. Should not have happened. But to say that makes her like a fake conservative now or anything, or that she won't fight for Arizona or is not the best candidate for the governorship is laughable, especially because Karen Taylor Robson has donated to the Gallego family time and time again, given them thousands upon thousands of dollars over the years. Even more recently than that, the far left Gallego family, they're probably in between, Katie Hobbs's, the crazy neoliberals and the Bernie wing of the party. They're directly in between those two. They're like the Fetterman types of Arizona. Awful, awful people with awful beliefs, and they're Democrats. And these neocons are completely fine with that, but then they'll throw shade at Kari Lake. And they're the ones that are out here registering Democrats to vote in this primary so they can vote for sanity. Sanity meaning the candidates that are going to uphold the status quo of the GOP so they can keep screwing over the American people, as they've been doing time and time again, so they can turn Arizona into a Democrat state overnight, the same way that Nathan Deal did, in the 8 years where he was governor of Georgia. He incentivized the left to come into his state and destroy it. And Karen Taylor Robson, is no different than Nathan Deal, except she will arguably be worse. And now you have ice cream man Doug Ducey, who I don't believe this is updated yet, but Doug Ducey has come out and endorsed Taylor Robson. Now, Doug Ducey sucks. His endorsement probably doesn't carry that much weight. He is, another type of these Nathan Deal types, these governors, these Pete Wilsons that, they come in when the state's still a solid red state, and by the time they leave, they do exactly nothing but cave into the opposition, and it's more left-leaning when they left than when they got in. We know this. And furthermore, you're looking at the polls, and they are tightening up to some extent. Now, I will say this. It does not mean that Kari Lake is going to lose. She has Trump's endorsement, which is still the most powerful endorsement in the state of Arizona. Trump will be coming to Arizona to rally for Kari Lake, probably hit Karen Robson on a lot of issues. But Karen Robson, she's down there in the polls. She's still in the 30s. Kari Lake is polled anywhere from, the mid-30s up into the 40s, and sometimes in some polls even higher than that. And beyond that point, we also look and we see the fact that a lot of these straw polls that we've seen, Kari Lake is outperforming the regular polls and the straw polls. That was a common theme with J.D. Vance in Ohio, and as a result, J.D. Vance ended up outperforming every single poll except, I believe his own internal, but even then he outperformed his own internal by a couple of points or so. So either way, Kari Lake is going to win this nomination, that I can tell you, regardless of how many lies they throw her way, how many establishment endorsements they give Robson. It's not going to add up. Kari Lake, she's very electable in the general. And this is another thing. People have said that she's not because, she's too aligned with Trump and Arizona was not that fond of Trump. But Kari Lake is also her own entity. She's not one of these people that says, hey, I like Trump, vote for me, I like Trump. No, she holds rallies and she gets, tens of thousands of people sometimes in Maricopa County. She's a very talented public speaker, a very good debater. She will eviscerate Katie Hobbs on the debate stage. She's very rhetorically talented. And as a result, she is going to cruise to victory, in my opinion. Her policy platform is comprehensive. It's fairly solid all around. She's not somebody that just, says, I'm MAGA, vote for me and nothing else. I don't like those people. I really don't. But that's not exactly who she is. And they did the same thing to Doug Mastriano, but now Mastriano, even they're conceding the fact that he's running a better general election campaign than anticipated. They say Kari Lake talks about election integrity too much or whatever, and it's like, okay, you're in a Republican primary in a state where that is a very pressing issue, right? We understand that a lot of voters, you ask them what they care about, that is a number one issue. So they're mad at Kari Lake because she's standing up for the base on something that they believe to be a key issue. I don't see what the problem is there. Mastriano did the same thing. They lost their mind, and then in the general election, you pivot more towards, policy that could win over some swing voters while still being unwavering in your conservative convictions. I anticipate that Kari Lake is going to do the exact same thing once she wins the nomination. And you will see the meltdown commence. You will see these losers that decide that, we're gonna register all of the Democrats as Republicans to own Le Blumph, to own the America First candidates and their movement. And it's like, okay, well, if you have to register Democrats to vote for your Republicans, they suck. Trust me, these candidates suck. Karen Robson sucks. Mark Brnovich sucks. Jim Layman sucks. Whatever candidate they're putting up there on the Neocon side for AG or the Secretary of State, they suck. I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. They're going to be owned come August 2nd, but at the end of the day, this is still going to be a little bit of a tougher fight than maybe we anticipated, but still, Lake is the front runner. Make no mistake about it. There's only like one internal poll this whole entire cycle that has shown her losing, and even so, there's so many undecided voters that I don't necessarily think it's going to make a dent. I think at the end of the day, you will see what happens, and Lake and Masters will cruise to victory in the primary, and they will cruise to victory in the general election as well. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and join the website and buy the merch. The links are in the description as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.